What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Swipe Up, the 63rd episode where I share some of my favorite posts from Instagram. Let's get into it with my spirit animal, Flea. Flea333, doing a little improv dance to some jazz. I've actually been listening to a lot of jazz recently. Looked up the Whiplash soundtrack. One of my favorite movies from when it came out, like 5 years ago. Just a great movie, kind of about just kind of suffering for your art, let's say, which I really enjoy. But listening to the soundtracks really got me into listening to jazz, especially while I'm painting. Hasn't really taken a hold of me to this extent where I'm going to do some experimental dancing to it, but nobody better than Flea to really kind of let go and be one with the music. But yeah, I love Flea, the greatest. So I figured, why not start this episode with some Flea? Let's move on to just a cool product that I just saw, and very original, something you would see, maybe malt liquor or an energy drink having a design like Liquid Death does. But this is just mountain spring water. And kind of being offensive is part of their deal. They love trying to not be for everybody. Let's put it that way. They have in their ad here a tweet or a comment from somebody, Melissa R. A bit over the top. The fact that you have an opinion or an option to sell your soul is deplorable. First off, anybody who uses the word deplorable they're trying to. Anybody who uses like shit talk using large words, they think that they're smart, and they're not. Try a new sales pitch. That isn't for Satan worshipers. It's like people who like think that worshiping Satan's. It's like, if I don't believe in your book, then I don't believe in the bad guy in your book either. Crazy person. Yeah, just religious people who think Satan is everywhere. They're probably the closest to Satan. All right, moving on. So go buy some Liquid Death. They're not a sponsor, but if you do, check it out. Let me know what it tastes like. Moving on, there was some snow, a lot of snow. All of the mountains surrounding the valley have a nice little coating of snow atop them. This one from Burton House, Palm Springs, a nice little view. The mountain there's a lot more snow, just the angle. The mountain's closer to Palm Springs, not as much snow, but up in Idlewild, there's tons of snow. Just beautiful and nice and cool out here. So love that view. Now moving on to Boss Logic. I mentioned this before. I don't know if I gave him the proper shout out, but I love his work, and he's redesigned the Cybertruck in a lot of different inspired by different fantasy and anime and video games. Just a lot of things I could see modifications to this truck becoming very popular. My favorite, aside from the hovering one, that one's pretty sweet. But I really enjoy the DeLorean version. Clearly looks amazing. And then the Batmobile one is pretty cool too. But I love Boss Logic's work. It's always so clean, so good. And I like that truck, Cybertruck. It seems like people aren't crying about it as much a week later. People seem to be warming up to it much. Here's the thing. People hate change. And change sells. People don't like it until like it's ubiquitous. iPhones, they're different. They're different than every other touch phone that was trying to get in the market. And look at phones now. Now every phone is trying to be the original iPhone. But yeah, love it. Boss Logic. What's your favorite? Leave it in the comments. Now, moving on to artists, Mike Shelbo is a glass artist that I've, tried to learn from, but my inability to keep my hands still really kind of hindered my glass torching abilities. But he's putting out these new hashlings, which are meant to live in your old hash or resin jars. So for those dabbers out there, your weed smokers, you want a little fun guy to put little monster head to put inside your old jar, go check out Mike Shelbo. Moving on to another piece of art that's a hug machine, which I could use. I think a lot of people it should be mandatory for a lot of people who, either suffer from being too angry or too sad. This would be a great comfort, I would imagine. Maybe dress it up a little bit, not as much metal, but I can imagine just hugging that, and then it just being enough, to make you not want to kill yourself one more day. All right, moving on to this Monopoly board that is a replica. Everything's all the landmarks are from the Coachella Valley, which is, if I was going to play Monopoly again, I would not mind it being on this board. I think that would be pretty cool. And for those that don't live in the valley, you probably wouldn't get any of the references, but there'll probably be a part of it that's the Empire Polo Clubs where Coachella takes place. Maybe, I don't know what spot that would be, but I would definitely play that game. Now, finishing off, my good old buddy Robert Garza, Rob GTV, has been producing a podcast for Real Chingo Bling out in Houston. They're doing episode 100 live. Actually, the day that this episode comes out, if you are in Houston, go over to the Improv Houston and go check out my man Rob GTV and the people that are part of this podcast. What Did He Said podcast? Go check them out live. It's their 100th episode. Super proud of them. And I haven't actually ever listened to an episode, but I guess he's like a comedian out there, pretty big. And it's awesome that Rob is working with them, and I'm sure doing amazing work. He's one of the podcast producers that really does the craft well. So yeah, big ups to them. I hope the show goes well. Yeah, that's it for this episode. Let's throw out some shout outs real quick. There's a lot of shout outs. Shout out Flea333. Shout out Liquid Death, Burton House, Palm Springs, Heslin Cinematic, Boss Logic, Tesla Motors. Shout out Mike Shelbo. Shout out Juxtapose Mag, Designer Con, Spencer Little Art. Shout out Desert Sun. Shout out Rob GTV, Improv Houston, Real Chingo Bling, and it's Marisol Herrera. Shout out to all of you. Thank you for your amazing content this week. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Go buy my artwork over at inspireddisorder.com and save 25% when you use coupon code RTS. Follow me on social media at Ray Taylor. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Peace out!